We went over the last one, and we want to make sure out of due respect for the people in the room that we do 2 minutes. 2 minutes is 2 minutes. If you got another question, get back in line and we'll get back to you. Look at Mike, he's over there laughing. You got neighborhood council, here we go.
But at least you understand that sometimes it's
Yeah,
a tough job.
Yeah, and sometimes you guys
Get it
just
out of line. It is hard to be black, brown, and beautiful in Venice these days.
Yes.
But I'm here to recognize that none of this is going to work if we don't work for a moratorium. Because what we're sitting on and where we go lay our head is the property that people want and will do anything to get. Because my question is, how many white gangs have been served their papers? Okay? Because recently it took a whole group of women to prove that there was perjury, fraud, and basically just straight up corrupt paperwork to put a 70-year-old woman out of her home after 34 years of living here. And they're thinking about criminal prosecution. What I'm talking about is property gangsters. The architects and developers that actually lie, cheat, and steal people's homes. Because there are people in our community and some in this room that have been harassed by some of the realtors to sell their property and put the building and safety to come in, to look at their fines, to look at their windows, to look at whether or not they're on a fixed income. Because the kids that I speak to, with all due respect, are telling me, they are stopping me, where do I live, do we rent, do we own, who's in our house, what gang we are, where I'm from, am I involved in sports? They're trying to talk. So I'm here to say that this is all going to be a waste of time. And we sit with Alberta, Naomi, Newhouse, myself, and Stan Mohammed. We have gone to the community partnership meetings. And with all due respect, that tape is not released from Brandon Glen yet, to date. So I beg you, talk first, taser later, and shoot none. Okay, so if we're going to work together and we can have another meeting, we have to have a moratorium. And how many white gang members have been served their paperwork in Los Angeles? And we will help you identify the dirty dozen architects and developers and realtors who are cheating the people out of their homes.
All right.
My house that comes.
I want to piggyback on what that guy was saying. I almost got hit with my grandson 3 times. Okay, because they have money, they're allowed to kill. I mean, 3 times. My grandson is 9 months old. I'm sorry, I don't have a car. I have to walk with my grandchildren. I can't walk my own neighborhood and without fearing that I'm going to get smashed by a car because you're on your cell phone and flipping me off because I won't walk with them with my 3 grandchildren. I think it's unfair.
Well, it looks like there's a couple of issues here. One's a racial one. Racial with money.
Mike,
They're intimidated by black people. They don't like black people.
Mike.
Okay. Another thing. I've got a 16-year-old daughter that's been classified as a gang member. Okay. 16 years old. Where has she been? Okay. What could she have done in that little time she's been alive? And I'm really insulted about this, and I need her to be pulled off that database immediately. Okay? I've never shown her any gang characteristics. There's no gang members coming around my house picking her up. She got harassed today walking through the bank parking lot because she's a Mexican. Okay, and they jacked her up for a while. And I was away from the area at the time, and I couldn't make it back in time. So I got on the phone with one of the officers, and I said, "What are you doing? What's on your mind?" And he gave me some mumbo jumbo about why he did it. And I'm not buying it. I mean, I'm just here to protect her, to see what's on her mind. Yeah, right. Leave that little girl alone. Okay? Leave her alone. Take her off that database and leave her alone, because I'm going to be in your face every 5 minutes. And I am a bona fide ex-gang member, retired. Okay? I carry guns. I was a bad boy. Okay? And over my dead body, is she going to get characterized like that? Okay? I've changed my evil ways. Okay? But I still got a bad temper. And I'll die with that bad temper.
All right. This is to the captain. You said this, that a lot of stuff to get calls, stuff around here. This is what I understand about the Pacific Division. You have a certain number of officers who do things unethically, and you know, I'm pretty sure of them. One name is Solomon, and the other name is Pepper. I can't pronounce his name. But for those are something big red guy. He went to school down here. He harasses people and things of that nature. Like I've been in this community all my life, man. And it's a hurt feeling to where you can't walk to the park on a regular basis with your grandkids or your niece and nephew without being harassed by the police just for the color of your skin, because you're on a blue sweatshirt and some Chuck Taylor. You know what I mean? Like, I've been home from prison now over 12 years. To my understanding, I'm not on gang injunction. You know what I mean? I don't get stopped by the police on a regular basis. And that's another thing. You got people that have been out of prison for 12 to 15 years, have been in no trouble, but now here it is, I guess, about a month ago, one of my friends got jabbed up by the police. All of a sudden, he's on the gang injunction. He's now 47 years old. So at what time, at what age group, you have to be 80 years old before you're on the gang injunction? Or I mean, is there an age limit? Is there a time limit? And why does it take so long it takes such a short period of time to get on the gang injunction, but it takes forever to get off of it? If it only takes me a month or 2 weeks of investigation to put me on the gang injunction, why does it take me a whole year to get off? You know what I mean? It takes years to get off. And another thing about the crime statistics, there is no condo gang crime going on in Venice. Most of the people that you got coming down here is off of that beach. Those are the people that are homeless and things that nature. They're around there breaking houses and stealing things and things that nature. It has nothing to do with the gang members. Now I've heard out of the police mouth, their own mouth, well, we arrested some dudes for B1 on the gang injunction, so we got to start arresting y'all too. For what? We're not doing nothing. If you're not doing nothing, why you got to arrest me? Just for numbers and statistics. If you're going to be the captain, I think that you should brief these people before they come out here to let them know that we're human beings too, and that we don't deserve to be arrested just because of our skin.
Kind of want to touch back on what gentleman said about his daughter, because I had several students here that were issued the gang injunction when they were 14, so I know the legality of juveniles. They were pulled over, handed the gang injunction, a picture was taken of them. Here they have this paperwork they know nothing about. Their parents don't speak English. So I would think that's an illegal way to serve a child under 18. They were 14 years old, several students. So how could you then pursue the injunction and violate them the way they were handed the injunction? To me, seems illegal.
But it's the
I'm
law.
sorry, can I just ask you to clarify? Did that happened recently, you said?
No, it happened over time.
So, but I mean, like, I'm wondering how recently,
In the
because,
last 10 years.
Now they're 18.
so,
When they were 14,
Last 5 years.
If they were 14, they were issued the gang injunction.
4 or 5 years,
They were issued the gang injunction. They were 14 years old. Several at the same time were issued the gang injunction. They were 14.
And
Had
the
no
gang-
idea what it meant. Didn't know how to read it. Couldn't get it to their parents to read because the parents didn't speak English. So how could they enforce it? I mean, they were picked up with the gang injunction all the time.
so the reason I'm asking that, and maybe Arturo or the captain can speak to whether or not, so the reason I'm asking for the clarification is because, with the exception, I believe, of 2 more recent gang injunctions, I was under the impression that there is a moratorium on serving new folks on the gang injunction. So I just wanted to ask that question to Arturo and to the captain and see.
Well, I just want to know the process for juveniles.
Yeah.
How does that
So,
work?
well,
How should it work? Let's
well,
say that.
really quick, in terms of the process of juveniles, anyone who's basically committing crimes that further promote a gang, that criminal conduct will bring themselves to the attention of law enforcement, and the law enforcement will say, hey, consider this person for service of injunction. What happens with the juveniles, who have been served, is not only do they get served with the injunction, but their parents are also notified, and there is a process whereby the parents are notified, and so that's what happens. That's what happens with juveniles. Well, again, unfortunately, I can't answer the question because it's Right now, I'm going based on the little information you provided me. Neither you nor I were present during the service of the injunction on those juveniles, and so we really don't know the totality of circumstances as to that service. But what typically happens, and what the L.E.P.E.R policy is the juvenile is served and the parents are notified. And the parents are contacted, and if they don't make contact with the parents, they make several attempts to notify the parents of the service. So that's typically what happens. I can't speak to the particular example you've given. I don't have any other specifics. And as I said, not having been there, I don't know what occurred.
Thank you.
Hi. First of all, I'm not from Venice, but I've been living out here for the last 7 years with my wife, and she's an original Venice native. But just from living here, I've seen these things happen. I've seen them even with me. And if I come to you like this, am I a gang member? Is this considered gang clothing?
Straight out gang.
Yes, yes. And it doesn't, because I'm a diehard Cowboy fan. I rock this all year, you know. And I'm a militia scratch. And I did this purposely. And while me and my wife sitting out in the front, had the officers come by and looking at us like, oh man, there goes somebody. I am somebody, but I ain't that somebody, you know? I am, just like you guys are. And I'll give you some credit, Cap. I know women don't have those parts, but you got some balls showing up, you know? And that should mean that you're going to really help. Because in this area, I've seen it. White people have a party, it'll go to the street. I live right on Indiana and Fifth. It'll go straight to the street. Pop, pop, pop. Let the blacks do that. Helicopter, everything. Football. I'm like, wow, what's going on? So, Cap, get at your folks. You know? We can't get at them. You know? But you can. I believe you can really make a difference because you're here. So just make that difference. Don't, like Spud got a little irate, but that ain't all of us, even though we see that. Even the brothers talking about his children, that's wrong. I'll be the same. My daughter, I thank God she in Ohio. But I'll be on a mission too. If a cop tossed her up or anything like that, man, you could take me to the pen or whatever. Jump on me, whatever. For my little mama, I'm going to give my life for her. Just like Dude said. And the same thing with the traffic thing. Y'all stop sweating us with this color skin. We human. That's what we are. We want to be treated with love just like y'all want to be treated with love. We don't want to hurt y'all. That stuff don't mean nothing. We want to help live in peace just like y'all want to live in peace. And if you don't live over here, you can't say what don't go down because I have witnessed crime going to decrease in this area. I have friends come by the church. Oh, we love the area. Oh, this is great. Yeah. Thank you, bro. But thank you for that.
I'm going to need to get back in line. I already know this. I have one question. It's a yes or no for you. It's yes or no. Because you either know or you don't. Do you know that your officers, from Metropolitan to LAX to El Segundo to wherever, anytime any officer is in this town, are you aware that they lie? And it's okay if you don't. I hope you don't. No, it's a pretty freaking straightforward question. Do you know that they lie? The majority of these cases that you throw out, you say, by the way, bullshit, because I know, officers lie. They fabricate, they make stuff up. I was arrested for interfering with a police officer's investigation while walking the other fucking way. Okay? And I'm sorry, no, I'm not sorry. I'm mad, I'm angry. Because the thing is, all these lovely people here don't know. And I've been learning. And when I was younger, I didn't know. I'm learning what the law is. I'm learning, and I'm reading Supreme Court cases. I'm reading Marbury versus Madison, McCullough versus Maryland, Aaron versus Cooper. I'm learning about the Supreme Court cases. And you know what they all say? The individual trumps the government. The individual's freedom matters most. So when I see police officers violating people's rights, and then people like you say, by the way, this is okay, and it's not, it infuriates me. I wanted to scream the whole freaking time. This gentleman right here is having his 16-year-old daughter accosted because she might be a gang member. She's a minor. I don't care. She's a kid. Your cop shouldn't even be talking to her without him there.
That's what I told her.
So, my question, and again, you can't be there all the time. You are not God or omnipresent. But do you know that your officers are lying? And they are. They are lying. And they are lying under the pretenses of protecting people. And they're not. They're not. They're just not. I've had video cameras. I filmed it. Okay? Lost a bunch of them. The last thing I'm going to say, and this is the last thing. Again, stop pissing people off, because Sergeant Cook, go ahead and sit division. There's recordings of me. You're making people very, very angry. And these are people who you really shouldn't make angry. Just, you shouldn't. Because they're trying to be better.
Yeah, my name is H.E.L.P.E.R. I've been here for 40 years in the Oakwood area, and my kids live down there by the park, and I can't even visit them. I'm one of the victims of the gang injunction for two decades, almost a decade and a half. And I've been by myself, so I've had fake FOI cards put on me just like the other guys. What you said about the lies, I had FOI cards, and I've been sent to prison on a gang injunction over 0.1 for marijuana. I have an $80,000 bail for marijuana from gangs, put with gangs injunctions, and I can't even visit my kids. My kids is outside the door 10 years. They've been growing up, I can't even visit them over these two guys harassing me, Pubra and Solomon. Solomon and Pubra.
I understand how you can't visit your kid. I'm not associating the way you can't visit your children.
Because I've been harassed and tucked to jail by myself, documented, in custody, tucked for the gang injunction, with no other gang member around me. I fought it. I spent over, I guess like $2,000 in gang injunctions just tucked to the station on the gang injunction with no other gang member. Just a selective prosecution over my name and my family have been here. We've been at that building for over 40 years, brothers know. And I'm here to tell you, though, I've been harassed by these same cops recently, been out of prison 2 decades. And I'm still harassed on this and been out of prison 2 decades. It doesn't make sense. I'm just wondering. No, I'm not going to wait no year. I can't even see if I come wait, even if I do that, I still can't come visit my kids outside the door. This is the only time I get to come here. I'm scared of my life coming over here. Fuck Purple, that threatened me. And what's his name? Sullivan. Yeah. So I'm just
I'd like to ask a question before Pam asks, is there a way that we can get a copy of the names of the individuals that are on the gang injunction in Venice? Because there's a lot of people who are unsure about who's on that list. And there's some people that may not be on the list who are acting under the assumption as if they are. So Arturo, is that possible?
He said they had a list, they were going to be able to.
L.E.P.E. maintains the list of the individuals served, and to protect everyone's privacy, the best thing to do is those individuals, or we'd like to collect a list of individual names. L.E.P.E. will compare those names against their list, and they can contact the individual and tell them whether or not they're subject to possession.
How many are currently living in Venice? Do you know, do you have that number?
I don't have the number of how many are currently living in Venice. I have the approximate number of how many individuals are served.
In Venice?
Well, it's served with that particular gang injunction. You don't have to live in Venice to be served with that gang injunction.
Hold on, let's try to Pam. She's in line.
Okay, I just want to ask a few questions. And I have a problem with this. This is like a 4-year meeting. I'm very serious. I have a problem with dialoguing with you people all the time and not getting any answers to our questions. We get the runaround statistics. They're simple yes or no questions. Is there a gang injunction for Venice Oakwood area, gang members and non-members? We have 4 policemen that are out of hand and out of control that need to be removed from this area. Their thing is to hang at the top of the park and harass individuals that are there on a daily, almost basis. And since we've been filing complaints, it slowed down. You receive the letters from that and other letters that I've had composed. We're sick and tired of it. We want a moratorium for this park. We're requesting, we're demanding a moratorium for Oakwood Park. We want it to be recognized as a historical landmark. You've already got rid of our schools, you've got rid of our churches, now you're trying to take our park. We're not going to go anywhere. We've been here. My family's one of the first black families down here in this 1 mile area. We are here. We're not going anywhere. The developers, all this corruption is all places. All this is part of your gentrification. And we know what's going on as well as you guys do. You have a lot of cool officers, but you got a lot of messed up officers. You know what I'm saying? Your gang unit, we ask you, is there an injunction? You're going to tell us, I don't know. I got a problem with I don't know. Since that you don't know, I'd rather talk with Charlie Beck, Chief Beck, and the police commissioners, because you guys don't know anything. So a lot of people didn't come because of this, you know. We're starting to get the runaround. We're tired of the runaround. We want facts. We deal with facts just like you guys do. No disrespect. But your Officer Solomon, your Officer Rios, and that Officer Vet, what's the one with the name that start with the V? What are their names? Vegas, and what's the other one's name? Ortega. Shaw. Those officers, those officers are a problem here. They have no respect for us and no regards. They show no respect towards these gentlemen in front of their children or the elders. You know, you need to talk to them. It needs to stop now. And as far as dialogue, we don't want to dialogue no more. We're tired of dialogue. We want facts. I don't want to talk no more. So my thing is going over your head and your head. And I'm going to do that. And I'm speaking on behalf of a lot of black and brown people in this community. I have 10 generations here. And for people to sit here and want to displace us out of our community, this is part of gentrification. Okay, we know about the gang injunction, but we're going to talk about the real deal. We're going to talk about the gentrification. The blacks and browns built this community. Did you know, were you aware from Santa Monica to Playa del Rey, from the Pacific Ocean, 4 miles inland is 1 mile Venice? Do you know that 50 volunteers, those were Negroes and Mexicans and Southern whites that built this community? My grandmother's grandfather. Wagons and horses they used to pave these streets and build this foundation down in this community. They were cabinet builders, furniture makers, all of that. My family, okay? Look at me. And for somebody to say you're going to come and take something back that don't belong to you, my grandmother and great-grandparents have invested a lot in this community, as have all the people around here. This is a multicultural community, and we like it that way. But it's okay to bring the rich people in, but let them know we ain't going nowhere. We're not poor. We make you assume we're poor. We're the richest people in spirit and in heart. Get that done by word of mouth, just from you. If you want to show some good favor, that's a good way to start this thing off. Okay? And I think that those homeless people down there on that beach, you guys can bring out that portable shower and that portable wash machines for them to have some dignity to take care of themselves and open up those bathrooms. Because we're having an overspill that's coming in here, and now we're getting blamed for that. You know, there's a lot of things you guys can take care of instead of a funky ass skating ring. That money for the skating ring, you can take that money for those portable showers and wash machines to come down there on the Rose parking lot so those people can service themselves. And you let these developers come in here, but you forgot the councilman promised to give some of that housing to some of those homeless people down there on the beach. And all those homeless people aren't bums. They are somebody. And this is our community, and it's enough room for all of us to get along here. And this stuff with the people, they need to stop. And I'm not going to let it go. I'm taking it to your chief, and I'm taking it to your commissioners, that's who I'm gonna deal with. Because you guys act like you don't know a damn thing. I don't know. You don't know. You don't want to know.
We have 7 minutes left. I want to reiterate, for anybody that was in this room and are currently in the room, we will have a follow-up meeting to assist anybody who wants to file the petition to get off. Understand, there is a process, it's a criteria, and everybody may not be removed, but know for sure we will assist anyone who is willing to go through the process.
I found out. I just want to ask you a question. I think the captain. Now, there's certain things that we got to go through to put on gang injunction to the election. What do your officers have to go through? How many complaints do they have to have put against them before they're removed from the community?
It takes a long process.
It's just a straight answer. You can tell them what's okay.
It doesn't take any, it could take one complaint from the community that those officers actually deserve breaches and that were done to field duty. So that's not an easy answer, you know, what's being alleged, and if there's validity of the allegation, and the investigation prove those allegations were true. I'll be able to remove that employee from the field without.
Okay, but we just talked about Buffalo and Solomon, whatever their names are. Those are the two. Those are the two brides in the neighborhood right now.
I'm hearing their names, I understand that, and please know too, that the gang officers don't have call volume to respond to, like the beach officers answer radio calls. Their sole function is to be in neighborhoods and do observation-related activities. So what you're deeming, I keep hearing the word harassment, but I'll say afterwards when you're on top of me, I need to articulate what that is. If by them stopping someone who's drinking a beer in the park, that's, we're not equating that to harassment. So I need to know what you think or what you're seeing that they're doing so that I can follow.
You have to go down to the police station and fill out the form.
Pulling us off the car, going through it, lifting up our clothes, going through our pockets, that's harassment.
So I have business cards, I think everyone understands how to make it.
You know the officers say you need to deal with them until it's back.
When they have cameras, and what I need is to make sure that,
The officers that we're talking about carrying
it's coming from a public place, and they see or witness it.
I witnessed it. My son is telling me I was there when the lead officers jumped out there Friday at the top of the park talking about they were issuing gang injunctions and shook them all up and beat them up and handcuffed them and took them to jail.
When you say beating up,
like I said, physical.
okay, so then that's
Shaking them up
to talk about.
and threatening to take it and stuff. You know what? You know exactly what I'm saying.
Ma'am, I don't.
Yes, you do.
I don't know what you're saying.
I just told you.
But also, I think that.
Physical harassment and verbal harassment.
All right, I'm hearing.
That's not right.
So what Lydia also mentioned was cameras and the body cameras, ma'am, I didn't catch your name. The body cameras are going to be coming in, and also digital car video. So we're going to be seeing that coming in 2016. So that may allow the community to have a stronger sense of security organizations come around. And I'm not a mind reader. I don't know what happened. I have 26 square miles that I police. I rely on the community to bring information forward. I hear you're frustrated. I appreciate what everyone's saying, but I need people to come forward. If you have concerns, if you think things are being done. I can't take an anonymous complaint against an anonymous employee. You need to tell me what date and time, what incident happened, who was the person who was subject to the arrest, and allow us to investigate.
They got paperwork filed against them.
And I got paperwork. You see the paperwork coming in, don't you?
Oh, hold on, bro. We gotta respect the item.
Did you write down the officer?
I just want to make a couple of comments. Thank you for being here and for hearing us. And I think follow-up is extremely important, that we are able to continue to have these conversations. You said earlier that you get 232 calls from the specific division area, from the Venice area?
No, that was just the boundary of Oakwood.
Just the boundary of Oakwood. So tonight we picked up something off of the Venice neighborhood website that said, I'll paraphrase, that someone had seen someone that they thought was selling drugs in an alley between Broadway and Westminster. And that they had called the police, but they didn't get any response. And they knew that the person was selling drugs, but they were told that what they needed to do was call the police department and say that they thought it was a gang member, and that way the police would respond with a gang squad. Now that was taken off of the dialogue or the emails that were going on next door Venice. And I think someone, the website, someone gave me that copy. So part of it is what Tommy Walker said earlier, is the validity of some of the calls. When they responded to these 232 calls, was there a determination about how many of them were valid, that what they were called for was really what was happening when they got there? Okay, that's one question. The other question that I have is that I really want to be the last Black generation.
Take your time. Take your time.
That has to tell my Black sons how they need to behave when they get stopped by the police. I want to be the last mother, grandmother to tell my sons and my grandsons that. Now, I'm not so naive as to think that all cops are bad, all cops are good, but when we have issues in the Venice community where people feel and know and see and observe and actually are being harassed and harassment by the police department, then that creates morale issues, and morale issues create depression, and depression creates dissension, and dissension creates uprising. And we don't really want to see any of that happening in the Venice community. But I'll say to my community, those 232 calls that they received, none of them were from us. So when you have issues, pick up the phone and call so that you can be counted among those individuals who have complaints. I'm just going to say that traditionally, historically, Black and brown people don't call it complaints. But it doesn't mean that we don't have any complaints. So I'm encouraging you, become part of the system. Pick up the phone, no matter how often you have to do it. If there's dogs in the park without leashes, call. You got cell phones, call. Whatever it is that you see that's a violation, or whenever you feel that you're being harassed, whatever the situation is, call. Because you can see that statistically, information is important. And it's just like voting. If you guys follow me on Facebook, I'm always telling you to be part of the solution, to be counted.